Assalamualaikum and a very good evening, everyone. How is everyone feeling this? Is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? I'm losing count of days, guys. Yes, it has been crazy day today, and I hope today you guys are still pumped up to listen to our panelists, our guests for tonight. Usually we have this during lunch hour. We moved it to 8 p.m. because we found out that some people wanted to have, they have more freer time after dinner and when the kids are settled. So we decided to move it to this time. And we are going to be talking about beyond COVID-19, new job opportunities with FinTech companies. Now, as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to create uncertainty, many businesses, including fintechs, are feeling the strain. But as the broader economy shifts from respond to recover, of course, there are new opportunities that arise. So despite social distancing taking hold worldwide, there has been tremendous growth in the use of digital financial services as well as e-commerce. So today, I'm super excited to have with us Swift's Regional Head of HR for Asia Pacific, Mr. Clay Johnson, to take us through the skills required to join this industry and why those retrenched might consider applying for a job with Swift. Hi Clay.
Hi Daphne, how are you?
I'm good. It was quite a crazy day, but all's good. I've been really looking forward to this interview.
Me too.
Should I call you Mr. Clay Johnson, or should we just go with the informal, way of calling Clay Daphne?
I work much better informally, so Clay Daphne, perfect.
Awesome. So how has you've been here in Malaysia for about 4 years now, right? So you've definitely felt MCO 1 and 2. How has it been so far for you personally?
Well, I first want to start off by saying thank you for having me tonight. Thank you, Job Street Malaysia, for hosting this. And for all of you who've joined tonight's session, I really do appreciate it. To answer your question, Daphne, I have to say, I feel very fortunate that I've been safe and healthy throughout this entire pandemic. And so that is the thing I'm most thankful for. And I'm glad we're hopefully at the end of this. Having said that, I feel like I'm having the same day over and over again because we've been working from home for almost a year now. And fortunately, in the next few weeks, we will likely be reopening our office.
Okay.
And I'll be able to go back and see colleagues who decide to go to the office as well. And honestly, I can't wait for that. I'm really ready to break up the monotony of this sort of Groundhog Day of over and over and over again. So,
and of course, you're in human resource. You deal with people. You need people. I mean, that's what your job scope is. You need to meet people physically too. It's not just about virtual anymore, right? I mean, it used to be exciting.
Absolutely.
Now I'm like, I want to see people. I need to talk to adults, not my kids.
Yeah, well, there's that. And I think for me, I've learned to sort of have, conversations with employees and sometimes difficult conversations. And I always feel like I still miss something. Like I like to be face to face in a room with somebody where I can sort of see their body language, sort of get a feel of what they're trying to say and things like that. And clearly, in this communication, that's a little more difficult. So, I'm ready to go back and see people.
Okay, then. Well, Clay, today we are going to be talking about FinTech. And I have to be completely honest with you. It took me some time before I could fully grasp, like, what does Swift do? I've seen it. I've heard about it. Like, I see it when I'm, transferring money. But what exactly does Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications do? So perhaps before we continue with what are the skill sets, etc., for someone who would like to apply for this job, perhaps for noobs like yours truly who may be watching right now, you can just explain a little bit more about what Swift is all about.
Sure. So Swift is the world's leading provider of secure financial messaging services. So we provide the financial community a platform for messaging and standards of how they communicate between one another. So to give you a very concrete example, and it builds on what you said about when you transfer money, the Swift code is a unique identifier for a particular bank.
Okay.
So for example, I have a Maxis bill that I pay each month, and I bank with HSBC. And let's say Maxis has Maybank as their bank.
Okay.
So when I transfer, let's say 100 ringgit from my bank account to Maxis's bank account, it actually is a message that goes between the two banks that says, debit Clay Johnson's account and credit the Maxis account at Maybank. And that encrypted message runs across a secure and reliable network, which is SWIFT. So SWIFT is the network, and it's also that message that's being passed between the two banks. And then on top of that, we offer other products and services, but that is probably the
most basic and
yeah. So when
the
my
main
family actually asks me, they're like, what is SWIFT? And then I explain it in those terms. They slowly start to understand, okay, it's not that, HSBC physically takes 100 ringgit over to Maybank and says, this is from Clay Johnson to Maxis. It's actually a message.
Right, because I had the same impression as your family members, actually, because they always say, like, if like when we're doing, especially international transfers, then they say, do you have a SWIFT code? And I'm like, huh, what's that?
Yes.
So so now that I understand the most basic layman term and of what it is, what qualifications or skill sets would be required for someone who wanted to work or be part of your company? Finance, not really. IT, yes, because there's a lot of, what is it?
Okay. So in SWIFT in Malaysia, for example, so we hire in a number of different areas that people will be familiar with. So a large portion of the people we hire are IT professionals. So developers, testers, cybersecurity experts, data scientists, business analysts. So the whole scope of any IT profile, we're probably looking for them. So that's a big one. But we also hire in customer experience, accounting and finance, business development. So those in Malaysia, for example, those are the big areas where we do recruit people. So depending on the role, there's obviously specific requirements that are needed in order to do a role within SWIFT. But if I look at sort of the soft skills that are required for most of our positions, so just common soft skills that we would expect, I would say it would be, having good communication skills, really having a strong command of the English language, because we do work in English across our locations. Being able to work in a multicultural environment where diversity and inclusion are absolutely the norm. And another big one is, being able to collaborate and work within a team. One of our ways of working within the organization that people know is that we very much collaborate on a daily basis. So people who are able to do that would likely have the soft skills, at least, to, work at SWIFT. But those are just a couple of highlights that I wanted to point out.
You mentioned about more on the IT side, and you have some job opportunities for those looking into customer relations and business. Are these right now some of the jobs that are available, that are open right now for the market, or?
Yeah, so there
what's a big one that you're looking at? What's the talent pool that you're looking for right now?
So the biggest push we have at the moment is IT. So IT professionals. If you are on this call and you are an IT professional, we want to talk to you. So please, let's have a conversation. But let's be real as well. I mean, we have other roles. I can think specifically of a couple of finance roles that we have open at the moment. Customer experience, people who are dealing with our customers and helping them, with the solutions that they have from SWIFT. So there are some open positions there, but really the biggest push for us is IT profiles.
And if someone had just basic IT skills, would there be a training ground for them to reskill or upskill? Is that something that the company will be able to provide, or would they have to go and sort of outsource it somewhere and then come back to you guys? What's your advice?
And so it really depends. I mean, I would definitely tell any of the job seekers who are out there now, as you're preparing to find the opportunity that, best matches your background, it is worthwhile looking at getting a professional certification. So for example, Google, Red Hat, Dell, Microsoft, they offer professional certifications. And I think that if anyone does go for one of those and achieves it, certainly something worth putting on your CV that would be highlighted, to a recruiter who would be looking at your CV. There's other learning platforms as well that I'm a big fan of. So Coursera.
I love Coursera.
Yeah, Coursera is great. So I've actually done a number of courses myself during this pandemic period.
Same here.
Yeah,
and they're free. It's free.
And they're free. They're free.
Unless you want these certs, yeah.
Yeah, there's thousands of courses there. There's also another learning platform called Udemy. So Udemy.
Oh, yes. Is that good?
Well, so I'm not very familiar with it. One of my colleagues told me about it, and I actually poked around on their site a couple of days ago, and I was really impressed with what I saw. So I think the first thing that jumped out to me was a training on Python, which is one of the languages that our developers would use. So I think that they have what seems to be some very good technical trainings that are also free, as you were saying. So I think both of those platforms would be good places for people to start if they're looking to either reskill or upskill. Now, once you're actually in the organization, we do offer training opportunities, both technical trainings, but also soft skills training throughout the year. So that's something we're quite big on. And we actually have a learning platform internally as well called Swift Smart.
Nice.
And we also have LinkedIn Learning for our employees as well. So any opportunity that anyone wants to take, there's plenty of resources within the organization in order to, enhance your skills. And we obviously encourage that.
Actually, you sort of answered the next question that I was going to ask. Why should we come and apply to work for or with Swift? I mean, besides the fact that you have these offerings of trainings and stuff, is there any other reason why I should just here, Clay, here's my resume. Take me.
I would gladly accept it, Daphne. But let me tell you, I'm going to tell you why I love Swift.
Nice.
And I would like to think that what I'm going to say would resonate with other people in the organization. I mean, clearly people have different experiences wherever they work, but I'm going to take ownership of what I'm about to say because I really believe it and I mean it. I think the thing that I love the most about Swift is the impact that I see myself making in the job that I do. It's a day-to-day thing. I can feel the fruits of my labor. And that to me is something that's important and motivating. And because Swift is only a company of 3,000 employees around the globe, I mean, we're not this huge conglomerate. We're actually a fairly small organization for what we provide in terms to the financial community. So I would say the impact, the diversity within the organization. I mean, we have people from all over with different backgrounds. And in KL alone, our site here is about 600 employees.
Wow.
And we have over 30 nationalities, 30. So, I look around and I see people from all over. And for me personally, that I truly love that. I think a couple of other things that really make the difference at Swift for me are the opportunities to do things and try things that, I may not have thought about doing. I think I've benefited from being able to, do a number of roles within HR, get my hands dirty in other areas that have ultimately led to me being in the role that I'm in now. So I really am thankful to Swift for, believing in me and, giving me these opportunities. And I've worked for them. So it wasn't like I was just given these things. And then finally, I think that just the collaboration across the organization. I think if I look at my agenda on any given day, I'm talking to people in Asia for most of the day. And then as the end of the day comes, I'm slowly moving to conversations with colleagues in Europe, and then eventually to colleagues in the Americas. So I think just collaborating with people from all over the globe is truly, something
it's nice.
I feel sets Swift apart based on my experience.
All right. So I hope those who have these skill sets that might be, something that you would like to apply with Swift is able to convince you, Clay was able to convince you why you should hand over your CV to him. Is there any opportunity to work with Swift offices outside of Malaysia? Or is it just here in Malaysia that's the openings, or do you have some openings that you would, I mean, you're Asia Pacific, so I'm sure you know if there's any other countries that are looking for openings too.
Yeah, so, well, I should say all of our job openings are on our website, www.swift.com, and just click on the careers tab.
Okay.
And it'll, show you everything you need to know about working at Swift, including our open positions. But yes, to answer your question, people could apply for jobs in other locations. We've had people in Malaysia and in other locations as well move within the company. I mean, I myself have moved from Belgium to KL, but I can think specifically in Malaysia of colleagues, Malaysian colleagues, who have applied for roles in other locations. So I know a couple of people in London, in Brussels, Singapore, and Japan off the top of my head. So yes, there are opportunities. Of course, not everybody can move around the organization.
Right.
That's simply not feasible. But for the people who are interested and who have performed well enough that they could assume a role somewhere else, it is an option on the table.
You deal with people, talent pool. You manage people in the company. What sort of, from your experience, many, many years in HR, we're not just talking about FinTech, but other companies that you have worked in, what makes a good leader? What traits do you see?
What makes a good leader?
Yeah, what makes a good leader? And like you see a leader and you see the team so, just KPI is just like, woo! And, there's just a different charisma about that person. What are the traits that he or she is able to
I really like this question. Yeah, no, I really like this question because a lot of my self-interests are around, leadership and how to be a better leader and what it means within organizations. So I think just a couple of traits that I think are important, and I think that the people that have them are usually successful.
Yeah.
First and foremost is an empathetic leader, especially during these times, during this pandemic, having a leader who really understands that people have other things outside of work that they need to cope with, deal with, that takes their time, and being able to accept that and help support, their employees, and also that listen to them and not listen to respond to them, but listen to really understand what they're saying. So that empathy is definitely a key trait for a strong leader. I think someone who's a servant leader. And what I mean by that is someone who really has the mindset of, I am here in service to the people I lead. How can I support them? How can I develop them? And not this mindset of command and control where it's, I'm the boss and I tell you what to do. No, that's old school. Really coming into this is, what can I do to support you? How can I help you achieve your potential? A servant leader, that mindset is really a strong trait of a good leader. And just a couple of other things. I think, someone who really understands the importance of trust, especially trust within a team, how to build it, why it's so important. That's really key. And someone who can be transparent in their communication. I think that's open and honest and, lets people know things that are happening. That's really a key trait as well. So I would say those things. I could probably list a laundry. I have a laundry list, but those are the things that really, stick out to me.
It's interesting traits that you've mentioned here. It's actually like not so much dictatorship nowadays, but at the same time, if you're too chummy, if you're too friendly, you have to. There's a bit of a boundaries there because then they get too. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a typical Asian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my husband always gets me so annoyed. He gets really annoyed when I get too chummy, and then he says, "You see, you're not drawing the line. Now they're just stepping all over your head." And I'm like, But you know what I mean, right, Clay?
Absolutely. And I think that, as a leader, you do have to keep some comfortable distance between yourself and others so that, that feeling of like there are no boundaries, doesn't creep in because, yes, people could take advantage of that. But I think you have to be authentic about these things and just call it out and say, look, I am in this role. I do have to sort of keep this distance. I hope you understand why. I think if you're just honest and authentic about it, people will understand.
And you were saying how blessed you are working with Swift because it's just a very diverse lot and you learn a lot. I mean, like the fact that you've got about 600 in KL alone and from 30 countries, different countries, that's telling a lot because, you just have to get to know each other's culture and respect their cultures or their beliefs and their way of things a little bit more, right? And it's very colorful. And that's great that you're creating this healthy working environment. But, for maybe some other companies that are still not used to this diversity of, everything that you want to put in.
Yeah.
How do you ensure or create a very healthy working environment or culture for a company? I know it's going to be hard to not have any politics, but how can we minimize and reduce all that? Just be happy, working productively.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I strongly believe is that we come to work and we're all adults and we should treat each other as adults. Really.
Amen to that.
I think that's what we want, and that's what we should expect. And I think that, if we just really position ourselves to treat each other as adults, that's already a good start. I think a couple of other things that come to my mind are, having flexibility in terms of working, like either, working from home or working in the office or starting late, ending early, or starting early and ending early. Just being able to have that flexibility so that people can really manage, their work and also manage their life on their own terms. Because again, if we're operating as we're all adults, I should be able to trust you to say, okay, you tell me, you decide when you're going to work and do your stuff. As long as things are delivered, like it's up to you. You manage that. I think one thing that we do, and I think it leads to a healthy environment. And by the way, we can do better at this. But I think having a culture of continuous feedback. So really sort of sharing with people, this is what I think you're doing well. This is where I think you can, improve. And having that happening on a continuous basis in a very genuine way also creates a healthy environment because people grow from that. It's not like, you come and you sort of guess, am I doing a good job or not? Or, what's going on? People are telling you as you go along. I think that's quite important. And then finally, I would say just, being able to express yourself and the opinions you have and, your thoughts and your ideas without there being any penalties. And that people seriously listen to what you have to say, I think also, creates a really healthy environment. And what I'm probably listing here are ideals of what I would like to see. So I can't say that at Swift, like we embody all of the things that just came out of my mouth, but those are the things that I would like to see us get to. I think we do some of it very well. And of course, there's areas that we as a company can improve as well. But as an HR leader, this is the type of organization that I want to be a part of.
And it's not just in a company, but what you've said are pertinent points about communication skills and just being honest to each other and transparent. And this can even apply to relationships, because I think that is what's lacking in a lot of humans. I don't know if it's because of social media where we're just putting up a different front. I don't know. I'm in the midst of, I'm in this phase where I didn't grow up with the internet, but now I'm thrown into the internet, so I have to adapt to internet. It's not like my daughters who are already like, boom, internet, social media. So I don't know if it's that little front that So going back to, that being authentic and communicating and being mindful when you're trying to raise a point, although you want to be truthful and blunt and direct. Let it be mindful in the way you construct those sentences. I think that's what's lacking, bit of tact.
Yeah, and I'm agreeing with everything you say. I think, to your point on social media, yes. I think we've all heard this. You see exactly what the person wants to show you, the very wonderful things that are happening in their life, and you don't see the real sort of day-to-day behind, these glamorous pictures or whatever they put out there. And I think we do lose that sort of genuineness and authenticity about life and the struggles that actually are happening with people. But as you said, I think that being able to communicate and tell your truth and to be comfortable in it and authentic about what you have to say and who you are, that's really, in my opinion, sort of fulfilling your potential as a human being, to be able to say, this is my skin, this is who I am in my skin, and I'm okay with that, and this is who I am. Voila.
I've got actually more questions for you, but I've got some questions from our audience right now. We've got a question from Serene Ong. With the current pandemic situation, what can the organization do to staff's well-being? What can they do to help in particular with mental well-being?
Yeah. So Thank you, Serene. That's actually a really good question. So at Swift, we've done a couple of things. So when we first moved to work from home, and by the way, we started that, I think, about a week before the government sort of forced people to go into lockdown. And we had previously been working from home a couple of days a week as a company. I mean, that's part of our policy, is that we allow employees to work from home. But once we moved in, we realized, people obviously are not equipped at home to sort of, have desks and, all the things you need in order to work from home. So we actually gave all of our employees an allowance so that they could buy, whatever they needed to buy and expense those things. So that's one. I mean, that's to help with their sort of physical health, because obviously you don't want to be sitting at a desk that's not ergonomically comfortable for you. So that's one thing we did. We've also really pushed our employee assistance program, so our EAP, which is a confidential service that's done by a third party. And we've really sort of drawn awareness to that service, encouraged people who were feeling, depressed or anxious, to really take the opportunity to speak to the employee assistance program. And also, we've just asked managers to be a little more compassionate, to be more empathetic, to the point I was making earlier. Like, we're all going through this together, and some of us can do it well, and some of us are really going to struggle, and either way is okay. But how do we lean on one another, during this time? So, I think that's been our message within the organization. Our CEO has really come out and passed some very supportive messages through the course of last year as well. So I would like to think that we've handled the pandemic, as well as we could as an organization.
Bless you. I'm sorry. I suddenly thought about that mental well-being, and I just thought of Harry and Meghan's famous or infamous to some interview with Oprah, and I'm like, guys, mental health is important, okay? So don't diss it, whether they're lying or trying to get attention or whatsoever. If someone's seeking help.
Yeah.
Well,
look, I will be completely honest about this particular point as well. I mean, I even went through a period during this pandemic, where I felt my mental health was suffering as well, because was, again, we're not the only ones. And fortunately, I had previously worked with a life coach many years ago, who's based here in Malaysia. And I reconnected with her and just said, hey, I think I'm struggling a little bit with these points, and it's probably related to the pandemic. Can we just talk through them? And she's amazing. And so we, of course, went through what I was feeling and talked through it, and she was pretty amazing. So look, I say that, honest and openly, like, it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And,
we need to destigmatize the fact that we're seeking
100%.
help.
100%.
Psychologists or psychiatrists or therapy, destigmatize it. There's nothing wrong. It's just like you're seeing a doctor. You're looking for a healer or whatever.
Exactly.
So I'm so proud of you, Clay, that you're saying this so openly. Yes. Because I've said this over and over again, that I've sought help, and it's okay. People want to think what they want to think, as long as I'm feeling good and my family's feeling awesome. You've got a lot of questions here, Clay. All right. Can someone from legal background consider joining Swift?
Very good question. Yes, we have a legal department, but most of our legal colleagues are based in our headquarters in Belgium. So in KL, I think we only have just a handful, maybe one or two people from the legal department. And then we have a legal counsel in Singapore who sort of represents the region. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of opportunities, but we do have some colleagues with legal backgrounds working in our legal department.
Next question. May I know what other platforms we can learn online courses mentioned by Clay? So Clay has already mentioned a few. Coursera, Udemy. What was some of the other online classes that you were saying that's quite readily available and quite easy to navigate? But that's just the two, right?
Yeah, so I mentioned the two. LinkedIn Learning. We have the corporate membership, and I don't know off the top of my head if you can, access it as an individual, but definitely give it a try.
Yeah. Yes, and guys, check out MDEC. MDEC also gives all these like really awesome courses. I'm not sure if it's free anymore. I know during the MCO 1.0 they did have it, but they've got like some courses, especially in IT or anything that has to do with digital transformation and acceleration, which is actually quite apt for FinTech and such. What can a job seeker expect in terms of culture in FinTech companies? I think you sort of touched on that. What can a job seeker expect in terms of culture in FinTech? I think it's going to be a very colorful, happy family there, right?
Yeah, well, I think, it depends on, the different FinTechs. I sort of shared with you, Swift and what our culture's like. Every culture is going to be different. But I think probably what's common amongst most FinTechs is that it's usually like, probably a very junior or young, energetic, sort of startup environment where you work a lot of hours, but everybody's super excited about whatever, technology they're working on. I would probably guess that's the culture. If I had to have a blanket sort of like, this is what it's like to work with FinTech.
Yeah. Bright ideas, fast ideas. You have to be always on the go. Okay, since we're talking about disruption and stuff, what industries have been disrupted most by FinTech and how? What industries have been disrupted most by FinTech and how? Do you have the answer to that?
I don't know the answer to that. I think FinTechs have disrupted, some organizations. I think there's some FinTechs out there that would like to think that they've disrupted what Swift is doing. We like to think differently. Unfortunately, I don't have the details to answer that question.
How does FinTech improve the customer service or experience?
Well, I think with Swift, we've really built out our customer, we now call it customer experience because we're really investing sort of a lot of time and effort in ensuring that once someone joins Swift as a customer, that they are well taken care of. So they have the support they need to implement our solutions, that if there are, issues, they have consultants who can help them out. So we've invested and continue to invest quite a bit on the customer experience side so that, our customers have a good experience when they pick up the phone to talk to someone from Swift to help them.
Okay, we've got more comments and feedback from Facebook. Manuel says, the only company that I worked for that is very flexible and treated people around as adults was foreign companies based in KL. We were able to hang out with other staff every Friday lunch before leaving for home. Basically, we worked for 4.5 days in a week. Okay, that's great, Manuel. He's trying to say that, local Asians. Okay, we're trying to change the culture, but Asians are like boom. Okay, so sorry about that, Manuel. Michael Warren says, hi, Daphne. Really curious. Would you work with Swift? What do you look for in an employer? I think I would. Now that Clay has mentioned how the working culture is, I don't think I have what it takes to be in the IT department, unfortunately. This whole setup, I have no idea what's all this. My manager, my tech guy, my husband does all these things right here. But yeah, who knows? When Clay suddenly calls me, I was like, Daph, would you be interested in handling our social media account? Yeah, maybe I will. We never know. We never know. So yes. Because he said, I was with the government. Michael says here, I was with the government with MDEC when Swift launched in Malaysia. So he was there for the launch. Michael was there for your launch. There you go. Okay. All right, I just want to ask, since we touched a bit about social media, right? As someone who is in the HR department, what is your advice because we at the end of the day, your personal life is your personal life, your business life is your business life. And then there's social media. How much of your personal life is okay for you to put on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatsoever, without bringing damage to the company or them losing their jobs? What is your advice on that, Clay?
Well, I think it's a very good question, really. I think that people need to be careful about the information that they put about the company if they decide to post something about Swift, for example.
Okay.
They need to be I think our employees should be very careful about how they mention Swift in social media if they decide to do that. That you should probably be careful. Now, whatever people sort of say, on social media about, political topics or what have you, just have to be careful because in fact, when I know at Swift, for example, when we hire people, they go through an extreme vetting process.
No way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, then mine's gone.
So Daphne, you can't work for us.
God, I've said too much.
I mean, we do sort of, part of the vetting is to see, if you do have these extreme views and, so you just have to be careful about what you put out there.
So guys, even though you want to have freedom of voice and respect democracy, be mindful in how you tweet your facts. So remember, facts. Don't just go making up stuff or causing, friction or what's the word for it? Insightful remarks. Don't be like someone that we know who's quite a big bully with orange hair. I'm not going to say who. There you go.
But also, I mean, I'm all about freedom of speech, but it's not freedom from consequence.
I like that. Freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequences.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I know there was another question. All right. Are there any job opportunities for fresh grads?
So we actually have a global grad program that we just sort of wrapped up the last cohort. And we are going to skip a year and hopefully next year be in a position to restart that program because it has been quite successful. But given the pandemic and we've needed to sort of like reprioritize things, we're not going to have it this year, but under normal circumstances we would. And we would hire fresh grads. But having said that, we do have entry-level positions.
Okay.
Like we hire people. So, I mean, across all of our divisions, we would hire people that have, fairly limited experience, I would say. So whether it's in IT, it's finance, we have some entry-level positions that would be posted on our website. I don't know today if we have them, but we do have them throughout the year.
Is that similar to, sorry, I've never worked in a corporate line. I've just done internship and then after that it was all entertainment all the way. But is that similar to something like a management trainee?
It is. Okay. I mean, it is a similar program. So we try to bring all of these fresh grads who this may be their very first experience outside of school, bring them in as a cohort, and then they're in the program for 18 months. Some of them will do rotations through the organization within Malaysia. They then sort of connect up with the global grads from the other locations as well. But yeah, it's similar to a management trainee program. Exactly.
All right, Michael Warren is back with his question. Is Swift happy with the current government support for the GBS industry these days? Anything we can do to help you?
Look, I've not heard anyone say that they're unhappy with Bank Negara or, with Malaysia. I think, things seem quite positive, but
so far, you're okay. Everything's
I mean, look,
okay.
I'm probably not in the best position to respond to that. It should be our press office, but I've not heard anything negative. So.
Okay. Okay, since you're in HR, so we're going to focus on things that you would be able to help process for us and understand a little bit better.
Yep.
Tips on the resume, short or long?
Short.
Serious? But then, okay, so what are the important things like when you're going through, and what is the first thing like I'm going to check and I automatically know if this person's a yes or a no? What are you going to be like zooming into?
Okay, so I think for me, and I have a whole talent acquisition team that does all the recruiting. So I rarely sort of go through CVs these days, but in the past, I've been a recruiter, so I know what it's like. The way a CV looks, so the actual, the way you present your material, people who get creative and, have different fonts and colors and, No, just
Oh,
keep it
no.
simple.
Keep it
For
simple.
me, keep it simple because I only have 20 seconds to look at your CV because I have, so many other CVs to look at. And so you want the reader to be able to, for it to be appealing to their eyes, easy for them to read. So I would say keep it simple, highlight the areas that you think really stand out in terms of either your experience, what you bring to the table, your studies. If you're a fresh grad, really highlight those immediately, and then back it up with whatever experience you bring or certifications, things like that. But I say keep the CV quite short, short and sweet.
Would a picture help or no?
Well, you're asking a Westerner, and we don't do the picture on the CV. So yeah.
Oh gosh.
So for me,
Okay.
I don't want to see any sort of personal information because I just want to see the experience. And I think you need to be careful there because people have unconscious bias. They see a picture, they make an assumption. They see a name, they make an assumption. I don't like any of that. It's just I want to see the experience. That's how we should be hiring people. But yeah, but I know that putting a picture on a CV is common here in Europe.
It is.
But in the US, it's like it's an absolute no-no because of that.
I didn't know that. I learned something new again because well, my husband does something else for sending out. We've got com cards. I think that's what they call it, right, Papa? But yeah, so that's something that I've learned. There you go.
But also, just think of your CV as your calling card, really. So, it's to get your foot in the door and then use the interview to really sort of expand what you've put in your CV. Don't try to put every single thing in your CV because I think that's where people make the mistake and the highlights get lost in this long CV. You want to use the interview to really then, expand on whatever you've put in your CV.
Do first impression matter?
Yes, absolutely.
What is your telltale okay, this person cannot tak boleh, but you're secretly
So if so there's a couple things. So if I observe the way they treat the receptionist, if they treat the receptionist negatively, or if I find out they've treated this receptionist negatively, that to me, I don't want to work with somebody like that because if you can respect the CEO, you can respect the janitor and you can respect the receptionist. So that to me, is something that I personally, it doesn't sit well with me. But also the eye contact and the sort of, just the exchanging the pleasantries and being able to have that small talk with somebody, it goes a long way. And I think, because of all of us being on phones and the way we communicate now, we've sort of lost that, and especially the younger generation. And here I am sort of, aging myself. But I do see that people have lost that ability to sort of look someone in the eye, introduce themselves, have that small talk, that interaction. But it really goes a long way. And it also benefits the person being interviewed because they sort of start settling down. They lose a little bit of their nerves. And they're able to talk a little bit more freely. So, people should certainly try to practice that.
I'm just recalling our little conversation just before we went live about some of the topics that we brought up. And I'm like, oh no, Clay's never met me. I stalk him over Instagram and now he totally is thinking something else about me now that
I see you, Daphne.
Oh my goodness, thank God we put that off air. All right, we are going to have some fun over here. I've got some rapid fire questions for you and you're supposed to answer them as quickly as possible, but if you want to elaborate then let's just do that, okay? So I noticed that you are a complete gym person. You loved working out. At least that's what I see.
Yes.
That's what social media tells us. Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely.
You look like the sort that, likes to run and go cycling. Everyone's doing that cycling thing right now. Or is it just me?
Oh, the Peloton?
I don't know. They just go cycling. Everyone's wearing all those tight.
No.
Everyone's doing it. So you're more of weights.
I love weights.
Okay. What's your because since you are, and I haven't been doing weights, I like doing my yoga, but apparently I want to just tone up. This is not rapid fire anymore. I'm just getting answers from you. I don't want to bulk up, but we women, will we bulk up if we do weights? I don't want to be too manly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think,
so
well, look, I'm not a trainer, so again,
You look like a trainer, Clay. My husband's like, God damn it, Clay's so handsome. I'm like, dude, I'm a little bit worried now.
No,
But
but
yeah.
but I no, I don't think I think that that's a myth, and I don't think that is reality. I mean, yeah, that's what I've
That's
always
with
heard, by the
supplements,
way.
right? It's not as if
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
think
go
it's
like,
supplements, and if you're like lifting like crazy heavy weight, and if you're eating like tons and tons of protein, then yeah, I think your body would change, and you would be super bulky. But you know, that's few and far between. That's not for everyone, I guess.
oh man, I was just gonna continue with my rapid fire, but there's more questions for you, and I want to make sure that everyone's questions are being answered. Is it a good time for a career switch in the midst of this pandemic? Clay. Is it a good
time?
idea? Yeah. That's
That-
quite
that's
tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky because, and here's the reason why. My immediate reaction was yes, because I think that this pandemic has forced everyone to reevaluate their own lives and really think about what's important, and really take stock of the things that matter in your life. So I could see that there will likely be a lot of people that will transition, from the role they're in now to do something that they're more passionate about. And the good news is there will be a lot of those people, and it will be sort of something that's normalized now, where it's like, yeah, during the pandemic, I started having these thoughts, and, I noticed that I was more passionate about this, and I really want, and, as someone in HR, if you were to tell me that, I'd be like, I get it. I totally understand. But the reason why I hesitate a little bit is just because of the economy itself. Like, a lot of companies simply aren't hiring, they're retrenching. And so I think you have to be careful. But, once things pick back up, and this is something you feel strongly about, I would definitely say go for it. And I think you can easily explain why you're going, to try something new.
Wise words. I think that's a nice, safe answer. You're right, because if they're feeling it so strongly, then perhaps wait until it's a little bit more settled. Don't wait too long, or else you might miss the window also.
Exactly.
But yeah, go for it, man. I really believe this whole thing is like, whatever you say, believe in the act of God, the universe is calling. It is a total reset, and I think it's timely, as painful as it is, it's timely that everyone has this. Oh, more questions. I was just going to ask him some more fun questions, but okay. Is Swift part of the Penjana HRDF Malaysia in providing job opportunities for the unemployed? I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, the Penjana HRDF Malaysia. If you're not, that means maybe you're not part of Swift, is not part of the Penjana. Penjana, I think, is this recent initiative by the government.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So
okay, there you go.
We post all of our jobs on, I think it's the My Future Jobs portal that I think it was launched in January, and we post all of our positions there. And I know that they've set that website up specifically for people who are unemployed. So the answer is yes.
Okay. Any more questions? Should just check with Angelica and no? Okay, so I can continue. Yay! I mean, I'm not saying that your questions to the audience that are watching right now aren't fun. It's very important that we get down to the details. I mean, that's the whole reason we're inviting Clay here. Yeah. But I want to get some fun stuff out. All right. You've been here in Malaysia for about 4 years. Do you prefer Asian food, in particular Malaysian food, or do you prefer Western food?
Can I pass?
Really?
No.
I'm like, neither? What do you eat?
No. Pass on the question. But yeah, look, I stick to Western food. But having said that, I do love beef rendang. I think that's my favorite dish here. I can definitely do spicy. I love spicy food. I love Indian food. But yeah, I mean, I do cook a lot of Western food, I have to say.
What's like, okay, if everyone goes to Clay's house and you're cooking, they're going to go like, I hope he cooks this. What would it be?
Risotto.
Ooh. That's tricky, to cook. For me, at least.
It's a labor of love. Like, you really have to sort of like stay over the stove, like, and constantly stir for about 20 to 30 minutes. But hey, it's good for your arms. So.
You never go to the kitchen, B. So
okay, that's true. I've got a Thermomix. I depend on a machine to do everything for me.
Yeah.
So I love it, so it's fine. Without going into detail, I think you and I would know this very well. Do you prefer red Or do you prefer white? Red or white? Red!
Yeah.
You look more of a white sort of person. Redder? Okay, I like red too. Just gonna get there. Because, whatever we say online might be recorded. But
Yeah.
yes, I prefer red. Okay, mountain or beach?
Beach, for sure.
You're not into all these
100%.
extreme sports? You look like someone. Oh my God, I'm really getting you wrong. I'm like, in my head, I said he's going to be a hiking person, scuba dive. Oh, scuba diving is sort of beach-ish.
Yeah.
Do you scuba dive?
Never. If I go to the beach, it's to lay on the beach, swim in the ocean, but not sports, no. So,
Any favorite spots here in Malaysia, beaches? We don't have really nice beaches. Oh, I don't think.
I love
not-
Langkawi.
Okay, that's
That's
fair.
my favorite place in Malaysia so far.
Okay, all right. Langkawi is all right. Yeah, because our beach is quite disappointing lah. Sometimes you got all that rubbish. It's like, then you go to, Bondi Beach and like, wow, and then like,
Yeah.
oh, so clean and so white and, here, that's something that we Malaysians, Asians need to work on. My goodness, the pollution. Your favorite sports person or an icon?
An icon. Wow. So, Billie Jean King, who's a famous tennis player from back in a long time ago. I think she's a hero of mine, a shero, if you will, because of what she did not only to the sport of tennis, but for women in general. So she is one of my sort of icons from sport. I'm a huge tennis fanatic, and so
Okay.
Billie Jean is definitely someone who I think is absolutely incredible.
Do you still play tennis now or?
I
not?
do.
You do?
I mean, I haven't played for a year because I hurt my knee and had surgery.
Oh
and blah,
dear.
blah, blah.
Okay.
But yeah, I played. I started when I was about 5 years old, and I've played on and off my entire life. So I love it.
Nice. All right. Let's see.
I have one question. Nadal or Federer?
There you go.
Nadal. Yeah.
You're not only handsome, you have good taste, brother. You have good taste.
Thank you.
I don't know. My husband's like male crushing on you right now. Thanks, babe. Thanks. He's giving you some
I'll pass the
love.
fart.
Oh, more questions. Let's see. All right. How? Let me see. I think Swift is also on Job Street, right? I mean, that's another avenue where you are getting people to, trying to recruit people via Job Street. What do they have to do if, they wanted to apply via Job Street?
Yeah, so you can apply through Job Street. I think it links directly up to our site, which is through Workday on the swift.com website. So yeah, you can either go through Job Street and apply to the roles that we have there. Mm-hmm. Or again, you can come to the swift.com website and click on the careers portal.
All right.
To apply. And in fact, one thing I forgot to mention is that for the purposes of this specific event, we set up what we call an evergreen position called Swift and Job Street Chit Chat Discussion. So if any of the job seekers out there come to our website and they don't see immediately a job that they're interested in, fits their background, they can actually go and submit their CV directly to that role, that evergreen role of Swift and Job Street Chit Chat Discussion. And then what we'll do is our recruiters will sort of take a look and see if there's anything that we may be in the pipeline for the future, or at least sort of keep you in mind for something that may be a match at a later time.
What's it called
if there's
again?
nothing
Chit Chat Evergreen?
Yeah, well, we call it an evergreen role, but the actual job title that the person would see is Swift and Job Street Chit Chat Discussion.
I see.
So that would be the job title if you were to look in Malaysia at our open positions.
Okay, so that's something that, if you're unsure or maybe it's something that you guys are not looking for that particular role, or then it's just still, at least you've got someone in mind in the event a job opening opens or not.
Exactly.
Swift Chit Chat. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we still have time? We do, right? Can I have like a little bit more questions for him? I can, right? Can?
That's about it.
No, I've got a few
Well, I
more.
have
There's some more?
quite a personal question, but just
Oh no.
for not personal from me, personal
Oh.
from I think it's a bit
Okay, he's just snapping it. He's tapping the comment from, is it Facebook or Twitter or?
It's from Facebook.
David Ling asks, how about a Hock Chew red wine, chicken mee sua? I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Okay, yeah. Well, I don't know if Clay is familiar with this. Hock Chew is, I think it's this, it's a small little sundry shop somewhere in Ampang, I think. And they normally sell all these, foreign, what foreigners always look for, all these like grocery stuff. So I don't know if you've been there before. I don't even know if it's still around. You've never heard of Hock Chew?
I get my Western stuff at either Jaya or Village Grocer.
Already?
This one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's already asked. See? No, because he was like, how about this one? You haven't asked him this. And I said I did. All right, R&B or hip hop?
Hip hop.
God, I suck at
Daphne,
you.
We need to go have coffee.
I think we do.
Really
We need to bring Lee out and just,
Yes, indeed.
I thought you're R&B. Okay, favorite karaoke song. Okay, this one. Okay, if you're going to be hip hop, I think it's going to be, let me see.
Wow, favorite karaoke song.
If you karaoke, I'm just assuming you do. You look like someone who would.
I have. Look, it would probably be some really bad 90s boy band.
Yeah, I got that right.
Backstreet
Yes.
Boys, 98 Degrees. Like something from that era.
A book that you have read twice.
A book that I've read twice.
Yeah.
Or
you're someone who just like, I'm done. That's it. Bye-bye.
I was trying to think. Cold Sassy Tree. It's a book that I've read many, many times over my life.
What's it called again? Now I've never read it. I like books. I love books, but I've never
It's
heard
called
of it.
Cold Sassy Tree. It's by Olive Ann Burns. I actually read it for the first time in high school, and I was fascinated by it, and I've read it on and off again.
Interesting. I have to go and check that out. I love To Kill a Mockingbird. That one's like mine. Okay, we've got Koo Hun J here. At some point, he's also commenting over YouTube. At some point, I realized that my movement within the company was limited, perhaps due to paper qualification. But during hiring, I was probably hired based on my talent in handling the job. I've taken a few steps to overcome the barrier. As HR in Malaysia, do you think our human resource system has changed their hiring strategy? And do you think there are still chances for candidates that have good language and basic technical skills be able to fill in jobs that require self-developed skills like customer service? I hope you got that all, Clay. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, so I think the first question is, as human resource in Malaysia, do you think our human resource system has changed their hiring strategy? Has it changed? Do you see a change of recruitment here in Malaysia? I guess that's what he's trying to ask.
I do, because I think that the market here in Malaysia, under normal circumstances, is quite hot. And so I do think that companies have had to really evolve the way they go about recruiting and bringing people into their organization. So yes, I've seen significant changes in the 4 years that I've been here.
And do you think there's still a chance for candidates who can master good language and basic technical skills, be able to, do they need more skills to go into like customer service? I'm sorry, Kuhan, if I'm like misreading your whole question, but that's how I interpret your question. So would he have a chance as a candidate who's he's got good language control, or, he's fluent, and, but does he need to develop more skills if he wanted to join customer service?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on which part of customer service, because if you're dealing directly with the customer, having a technical background, like if you're the consultant that's actually helping them implement, their service, having a technical background is actually required. But we have other customer service roles that don't require a technical background. And I think, I don't know what his specific skills are that he has, so it's hard for me to sort of
it's a little bit hard to just answer that, yeah.
But if he wants to, I would just say, if you want to send me a message on LinkedIn, I'm happy to to connect with you and to help you with that question, if you can give me some more details.
So go and head down over to Clay Johnson's link it. Yes. And if you would like to get more insights. Other than that, last but not least, Clay, what is your advice to companies out there in increasing productivity?
Increasing productivity, I think you need to really invest in your people. You need to treat them, as I said before, treat them as adults and really, grow them, invest in them, and the returns will come.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Short and sweet. Thank you so much, Clay. That was fun. And I
really enjoyed it.
I hope our audience had lots of takeaways from our chat today. If you missed out a chunk of our interview today, you can always rewatch it over my social media pages. And if you would not like to, I need my red now. If you would like to find out more about the current job opportunities with Swift on their JobStreet page, you can always go there to JobStreet page and find out all the job opportunities. And if you don't have a JobStreet profile, be sure to create one now, as many employers are actively hiring now. So a lot of people think like, no one wants to hire because it's a pandemic. It's quite the opposite, and there are opportunities out there. So once again, thank you so much, Clay.
Thank you.
We are gonna have proper copy session. And then let's try and get to know each other a little bit better, not just virtually. All right. So thank you so much, and my love to Lee, because only because he's Sabahan and we mentioned him just now. Suddenly people are like, who's this me, Lee? All right, and I'll hopefully see you around soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And that was Clay Johnson. Oh my God, I had so much fun with him. And it was not just about FinTech, because one thing that my husband and I were worried about was the fact that, oh no, we're going to bore, people with the talk or conversation about FinTech. But Clay, you made it just sound so sexy, so cool. And I just want to give my one-piece CV to you, which is clean and neat and basic and highlighted for all my parts, but I just don't know which department I would fit in because I don't have the IT background. However, thank you once again, Clay Johnson, and thank you so much to JobStreet for initiating this platform for me to get to know a little bit more about FinTech, and for our audience out there to get insights on what are the skills and requirements and the culture of one who would like to apply for a job in FinTech. All right, guys, I am going to call it a night. Again, a reminder, if you would like to find out more about Swift, you can always head down to JobStreet page. And if you don't have a JobStreet profile, please be sure to create one now, as we have many other jobs or companies that are hiring right about now. My name is Daphne Iking. I am so glad to be alive at home with all you people. Thank you so much for your comments, feedbacks, and questions. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sane, and most of all, be happy. Love one another and be kind. Peace, y'all.